Well, as many of you may know, CNN senior investigative correspondent Drew Griffin and his producer David Fitzpatrick have spent more than 3 years exposing a wide array of fraudulent charities across the country. Their reporting has resulted in lawsuits and eventually settlements against some of those charities, and now a crackdown that the Federal Trade Commission is calling historic. Today, the Commission and the Attorneys General of all 50 states filed court papers alleging, quote, a massive nationwide fraud on the part of 4 so-called cancer charities that have been the focus of much of Drew Griffin's reporting.
Some of the worst charities in the U.S., and they responded with silence.
Don't turn your camera on me, okay?
Shutting doors in our face.
If you have any other questions, please send them to her email.
Okay, my question.
Mr. Reynolds?
Even giving us the finger.
A second. No, where are you going, Mr. Reynolds?
The question they wouldn't answer, where is all the money? 2.5 years later, we now have a pretty good idea.
This is an historic moment.
A federal investigation has found $187 million raised in donations to 4 separate cancer charities has largely gone not to cancer survivors, not to cancer research, but somewhere else entirely. Scammers and fundraisers.
This is just about as bad as it can get, taking money away from cancer victims.
In a massive crackdown on this family of charities, the Federal Trade Commission and attorneys generals from all 50 states have announced 2 of the charities will be dissolved. The complaint also includes potential fines totaling $136 million, and in explicit detail have outlined how donations for cancer charities were spent instead on luxury lifestyles. The personal spending, says Jessica Rich with the FTC's Bureau of Consumer Protection, appears to have had no limits.
Cars for the individual defendants and others working at the companies. Interest-free loans and college tuition for the individual defendants. Meals at Hooters, gym memberships, cell phone apps and games, movie tickets. Carnival cruises in the Caribbean, trip to Disney World, jet ski rentals, and babysitters for the kids while people were on these boondoggles.
James Reynolds Sr. is the only member of the family fighting back. He now runs both the Cancer Fund of America and a sister group, Cancer Support Services. He's refused to talk to us for the past 3 years and apparently is refusing to shut down. The Federal Trade Commission will now try to force him out of business. According to the federal complaint, specific promises made by all of the charities to help cancer patients were untrue. These were lies, the complaint says. And instead of helping cancer patients, the Reynolds family charities help themselves. Lavish 6-figure salaries to the leaders and what the FTC calls rampant nepotism, hiring relatives and friends for big salaries too. Want an example? According to federal investigators, James Reynolds Jr., who runs the Breast Cancer Society and gave us that one-finger salute, hired his assistant, Christina Hickson, to be his, quote, operations and public relations manager. He then married her. His salary, $286,000. Hers, $135,000.
Spent virtually all of the money on themselves.
The total haul in donations from 2008 to 2012, a whopping $187 million.
There were many victims here. There were the people that donated to cancer patients. There were the cancer patients that didn't get the money they needed. And there was the trust that we all have in our charitable institutions.
It's unbelievable, Drew. I mean, did any of this money that was raised, the $187 million that was donated, do any good?
At most, 3 cents on the dollar went to something that you might call charitable, but there isn't a lot of proof that it really went to any of the people that they said it was going to go to.
It's just, I mean, it's outrageous. And these charities, I mean, they're fined more than $130 million. Is there any money left?
No, there's no real money left. Those are symbolic fines. The goal here is to shut these charities down. In fact, if the charities that voluntarily are going to dissolve do so, give a complete accounting, then the fines go away. The biggest priority was just to stop this scam, Anderson. So sleazy.
How do these people live with themselves? I don't know. It's incredible. Drew Griffin, I appreciate the reporting that you and David have done.